I'm a little nervous about, and I think it's all comics get nervous about, especially new ones though, is bombing. And the worst part about bombing is people booing and jeering and everything like that. So I kind of like to get the bad part out of the way. So if you guys could do me a huge favor, just boo and jeer me for just a moment, please, just to get a thank you. Yes, thank you. All right, that's enough. But yeah, and I feel like full disclosure, I should tell you guys that being booed on a public stage like this actually is my secret fetish. So you guys have just given me some pretty good material for the shower later. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's always really difficult to find that particular tab in Pornhub. It's very difficult. But anyway, I haven't been doing this long, and I remember the very first time I got off stage, one of the veteran comics there had come up to me and he said, I always got to ask new comics this. Which do you prefer, that really big first laugh you get whenever you're on stage, or sex? And I thought about it for a second, and I was just like, well, anytime I'm having sex, my wife is laughing at me anyway. So I kind of got the worst of both worlds. You know, it's I don't really have to pick, and then I cry. People say that being a comic is super difficult and everything like that. And I don't think it really is. In fact, you just got to kind of come up with a formula in a lot of ways. Like, here's a perfect example. I'm going to give you guys all this. It's a freebie, so you guys can all say something interesting or maybe possibly make somebody laugh, which is a great feeling. Whenever somebody asks you a question, you just have to say the phrase, not yet, behind it. The more personal, the better. So here's an example. Like, if I point to you guys, you just got to say not yet for me, okay? So have you ever been in a car crash?
Not yet.
There we go. Have you ever had a colonoscopy?
Not yet.
Have you ever been murdered a hooker?
Not yet.
The police are downstairs. They're here to arrest you all, okay? That is a crime to plot the murder of a hooker. All right? No, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is going to be the very first set. My wife isn't here tonight, but this is going to be the very first set she ever sees of mine because my friend is being nice over here and recording it for me. And I do have to say, dear, I'm so sorry that some of these jokes are about you. I'm sorry. And I feel like no matter how much I apologize and how much that seems genuine, I'm still probably going to end up sleeping on the floor tonight. And it's cold and lonely in my house, even when she's not mad at me. But, so speaking about my wife and terrible jokes, I got married very young. And you couldn't tell by looking at me now, but back whenever I got married, I was in pretty great shape. I ran a lot, I had all my hair, it was wonderful. And people say, well, if you had that stuff going for you, and I had a good start on a new career, if you had all that stuff going for you, why'd you get married so young? And I said, well, there's a lot of motivations. Love is a really great motivator. I mean, it can motivate you to get married very young at 19. It can motivate you to marry a horrible bitch. I'm not saying that's what happened in my case. I'm also not saying it didn't happen in my case. But another big motivating factor is, like I said, I was in great shape. I felt good about myself. And a friend of mine comes in and we're talking about, the prospect of getting married. And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm going to get married anytime soon. And he says, well, if one thing is, if you want to know what you're going to look like and be like whenever you're older, just look at your parents. And I said, oh no, I need to dupe someone into marrying me right away, or else this is going to be terrible. And that's what I did. She stuck with me. I tricked her into marrying me, and that is the key to marital bliss. Make sure you lie to each other as much as possible to keep the marriage together. We also do things together, which is important. We like to watch those true crime shows, sort of like Forensic Files and basically where spouses kill each other all the time. And I like to play true crime chicken with my wife. And what I mean by that is I'll look at her and I'll be like, would you ever rob a convenience store? She's like, no, of course not. I'm like, me neither. And sometimes I go a little deeper. I'm like, would you ever murder someone? She's like, oh, God, no, why would you even ask me that? Okay. But if you were going to murder someone, we watch a lot of these shows together, so you've got to know how. How would you get away with it? And she goes into such detail that it's really very scary, that there's no possible way she hasn't run through this scenario dozens of times in her head. And I got really scared and I said, wait, dear, am I the victim in this scenario in your head? She's like, no, of course not. I'm like, okay, well, go ahead and carry on. Thank you, that makes me feel much better. And then she's like, well, then I punch his bald face in and punch his bald head in and I rip his Seth Rogen voice box out of his throat and then I shit down his Louis C.K. looking throat and I'm like, oh my God, it is me. Oh, sweet Jesus. Please, no. and then I sleep in another room for my protection. Oh, God. Anyway, sorry, back to that. But yeah, my family's kind of driving me crazy. They age me really rapidly. I'm only 36, but I feel like I'm in my 70s. It's really rough. For instance, like I'm in such bad shape, I had to sit down in the shower the other day. It's really bad when you have to sit down in the shower. And it's time to give up on the dream of being cast in the next Magic Mike movie as a dancer. Like, you win, Channing Tatum, I get it. You're going to have better abs than me. You finally won the battle of the abs. But my body's falling apart in other ways, too. Like, I got a hemorrhoid the size of a Tide Pod. It's real big and juicy. And it's weird. It was awkward for me about a year ago because I couldn't keep teenagers from trying to chew on it. Just kidding. I'm sorry. They weren't that old. I'm sorry. They weren't that old. But it's pretty bad. I feel like Ruth Bader Ginsburg could probably feed me my own dick in a fist fight at this point. A 98-year-old, however old she is, bird-like woman could feed me my own dick. And that's actually another pretty hot visual for the shower later. I'm going to go ahead and file that one away, actually. But it's not just my family that's been sort of aging me at a rapid process. It's like my animal family, too, my cats. I've got a cat named Mario. He's actually really cool. But he does that thing that cats like to do where they try to attach their anus to your face. And he's really bad about it, and I was like, man, there's got to be an answer to this particular problem. So one time he got up on me, and he started to, place his butthole directly onto my eyeball. And so I just give him a little thump right on the nutsack. I figured that'll go ahead and, wake him up. So he kind of jumps the first time he runs away. I'm like, all right, sweet. I may have solved this problem that has been plaguing mankind for all of eternity. I am going to be on the cover of the next Cat Fancy magazine. That is the American dream, okay? Everybody dreams of being on Cat Fancy. I don't care who you are, okay? But I figured I need more data before I publish these incredibly scientific findings. I need to, for this groundbreaking thing. So he jumps up on me, and he starts to stick his anus in my face again. And I flick him, and he doesn't move. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I just didn't do it hard enough. So I would go ahead and do it a little bit harder, and the moment my finger tapped that furry little scrotum, he shot anal gland juice all over my face. And to describe it a little more vividly, like, have you ever seen like a toddler sneeze and there's like that mucusy, chunky mess? Like that, yeah. It was like that mixed with like warmed up chunky peanut butter just smattered across my face. It was real bad, and I don't know why I told you that story. I feel like I need a shower after that one. And not the sexy kind that I was talking about before. But you guys want to hear another gross story? Yeah? Yeah? Okay, yes you do. I'm not waiting for a response, because I'm going to tell it anyway. Who's here is acquainted with the term butt chugging? Anybody know what that is? Okay, so for those of the uninitiated, it's like where you take alcohol and you put it in your butthole. And you drink it that way, get drunk that way. So for me, I love being drunk. It's great, but I don't really like drinking. I don't know particularly fond of the taste and it burns. Not a big fan. But I figured I'd never butt chug or whatever it's called. I'd never do that. But one weekend, my family goes out of town. I'm bored at home, and there's a bottle of vodka on my desk. This is a recipe for disaster. So I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I look around the house for what I'm supposed to use, and I ended up finding like this little bulb that kids use to clean out their noses and ears and stuff like that, rubber bulb, and I'm like, that could hold a good shot or two. I'll grab that. So I fill it up full of vodka, and I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm doing here. Do I go, how deep do I go? Like 1 knuckle, 2 knuckles, 3 knuckles? I don't know how far I'm supposed to go up this thing. So I'm like, I'm not going to Google this, because that's going to put me on a list. And there's not a tab incognito enough for me to Google how to butt chug. All right? So I'm like, I fill this thing up, and I'm like, I'm just going to go for it. I go to the bathroom, drop trowel, I'm ready to go. I put this thing up there. I figure, do I squeeze it slow or fast? I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to squeeze it fast just to get it over with. Pow. And I don't like the way alcohol burns when you drink it. And I figured the butthole would be better. No. I'm sorry. No matter how bad it burns when you drink it, it is 10 times worse than your asshole. It is so painful. So since I just put like 3 shots of vodka inside my ass. I start to panic about the burning, and then I realize real quick that my sphincter is not as strong as I thought it was. So the best way to describe it is like, have you ever seen someone squeeze a Capri Sun pouch too hard and that little hole gives way and starts to spray out? It was like that, and I have got my pants and underwear around my ankles, and I'm like, oh God, the toilet's over there. So I'm like hopping. Every time I hop, a little more juice is out. And then I fall down because my pants and underwear are around my ankles. So I'm laying down, ruining my bathroom. And I'm like, oh God, what do? I roll into the bathtub finally. And I roll at just the right angle. This is traumatic in case you can't tell. I roll at just the right angle. Okay, if you guys ever know, there's this really old picture on the internet, back when the internet was still young, called Tub Girl, where a girl is spraying stuff from her butt into her face. That happened. And when my wife came home, she's like, why does the bathroom smell like bleach so much? And I just told her I threw up. She still doesn't know. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. Okay? That you had to find out this way. But if anybody ever asks you if you've ever put too much vodka inside your butthole and had to ruin your bathroom and your clothes, all you have to say is, yay, you did it! All right, thanks guys. That's it for me. Have a good night.